Good afternoon. I call to order the Hamilton County Board of regular meeting of March the 11th. Good afternoon, Madam Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you both?
Good.
Doing good.
Good. We'll move straight into our agenda. Of course, our first item on the agenda is silent prayer. I would just ask, as we have a short moment for silent prayer, that we think about the two babies that are still being looked for and believed to be in the water somewhere, that we pray for their families, the friends, and also the workers that are trying to recover those babies. And then we will have our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To
to
the
the
flag
flag
of the
of the United States of America and to the republic
for
for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes,
Commissioner Reese,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
thank you. Bridget, do you see anyone on or waiting from the public to speak?
I do not, Madam President.
Thank you. So we'll move forward to comment and motion. Vice President Reese.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Certainly had a full week, and I just wanted to highlight a couple things. One, last Friday, had a press conference with Dr. Brian Walker, owner of Walker Funeral Home, and Joe Mallory, president of NAACP, around the concern of the number of African Americans who are dying from COVID. Dr. Walker has lost an uncle as well as a worker to it, and has seen a number of cases coming in with the death certificate saying COVID-19. And so at a press conference with the idea that President Joe Mallory had presented to the governor on a virtual event that we had, saying that we need to go mobile. And so we were able to talk about the need to have mobile units, especially at a time when we're going to be getting more and more vaccine, and taking the vaccine to the people instead of the people trying to find the vaccine. Out of that press conference, certainly we are pushing for the Hampton University mobile type model. It has testing, it has vaccine, it has pharmacy, it is creative. It goes into communities and neighborhoods, and is grabbing national attention, and others are looking to replicate it. As a result, we were able to launch a pilot mobile program on a smaller scale in Woodlawn, Village of Woodlawn, on Tuesday. And I want to thank Mayor Brian Poole and Vice Mayor Kiana Trebu for hosting us there, and just seeing the number of people who wanted it but couldn't get it because we had a limited supply. But it went very well, and certainly shows the case that there is a need and a want from the community to have something like the Hampton University mobile bus. In addition to that, the House and the Senate passed the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Act, and I'm excited that President Joe Biden, along with the work of Vice President Kamala Harris, it will be getting signed on Friday. That's great news for us, as our administration has told us that's good news, more money is coming. So as that is being signed on Tuesday, the Economic Recovery and Relief Task Force has put forward an idea of a relief-a-thon. So it's like a telethon, except we're not raising money. We're connecting citizens and business to the assistance that we have available, not only us as a board that we voted on, but other entities and partners that have availabilities of access to economic assistance. So it's about almost $100 million of assistance that's available with all of our partners. And so that will be this Tuesday coming up. It will be an interactive virtual and television broadcast relief-a-thon. Has over 20 partners, and United Way, I want to thank them. That's one of our leading partners in this, but we have several partners: City of Cincinnati, Hamilton County Food Bank, Free Store Food Bank, Community Action Agency, Urban League, New Prospect Baptist Church, Corinthian Baptist Church, all in Cincinnati, and so many others, Bethany House as well. And so that will air on, if you have cable, Spectrum, it'll be on channel 8 and channel 979. 979 is throughout the whole county, so everyone throughout the county will have equal access to see it. Also on City Cable 23, and it will also be on Cincinnati Bell Fiber Optics as well. If you don't see it on cable, you don't have cable, you can also see it on our Hamilton County Facebook page, and we have over 20 partners, some that I've named, that will be sharing it as well to get the information out. We'll be able to take calls that evening and connect people to an appointment, which will help us with some of the backlog that we've had in the past from other agencies. And it will be able to guarantee people with an appointment to talk to someone with the help that we have passed as a board, making sure that that help can get to the people in a timely fashion. We also launched the 513relief.com. And so hopefully all of us have seen it. It's got a nice picture of us on the website at the bottom of it, which is really nice. But more importantly, this is a mobile friendly platform. So everything you need to know about help economically, you could go there to 513relief.com. And I want to thank the administration for working on this, and Bridget Doherty as well. So a lot going on, and just excited about it. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I want to echo that there's a lot going on, especially related to vaccine distribution and what we're doing throughout the community with many partners, trying to get vaccines in arms for folks. And as we all know, the age went down to 50, so more of us are eligible than ever. So I'm pretty excited personally about that. But there are other, of course, categories, and we will continue to see that as more vaccine becomes available throughout the state. So it's all good news, and our trends are, hospitalizations, cases, and death counts are all trending down in that direction as well. So good news on all fronts. I want to echo just a couple of things that were mentioned at the briefing yesterday related to vaccine distribution. One of the biggest announcements was that we're going to have a mass vax site per the governor here on the 18th. It's going to run for 3 days. And so we total will have about 12,000 vaccines available at the Cintas Center for folks to go get vaccinated. And the partner in doing this is Kroger. City and county are also helping out, but Kroger is really the way to get signed up for the mass vaccination site. So I would encourage people to take a look at that and try to get in that queue. And then after that, towards the end of the month, we're going to see 5,000 doses every week. And we'll, probably do that at a Cintas too. Kroger, again, is the partner. And so that is all on top of what we're already getting as a county through the hospital systems, the city, the county, the FQACs. And so it is really a great news for this community when it comes to access to the vaccine. And so to give you an example of kind of the overall picture, a couple weeks ago, we were getting 14,000 community-wide with all those partners. This week, 16,000, next week, 20,000. And then that's on top of the Duke Energy stuff, or rather the Cintas stuff. So I just want to encourage people. I know it's been frustrating. I know it's taking a while for some folks to get vaccinated, but keep trying. Test and protect Cincy, and go ahead and get in the queue and look at the providers and do what you think is best for you. And we have been recommending that people sign up more than once with more than one provider to get in line. And Commissioner Dumas, I know you already got your first shot.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Hashtag jealous. So anyway, it's coming for all the rest of us.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know
eligible.
the ages. I didn't want to, put you on the spot. So are you over 50, Alicia?
Who, me?
No, Alicia.
Oh,
They haven't let me in.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, I didn't know, so I'm not.
yeah, we
You
don't.
all haven't let me in the club yet.
Anyway, I am over 50, so I'm in the club.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, and Commissioner Reese alluded to it, we did have, we've had these pop-up sites going on throughout the county to make sure that we are having availability in every community, because our numbers, while we're second in the state for administering vaccine to the African-American community, that's still not as good as we can do, and it still doesn't meet the population. And so, as you all know, for a few weeks now, we've had these mobile sites, or not mobile sites, but pop-up sites throughout the community, churches and senior centers, Forest Park, Lincoln Heights, other communities. And so, while that is going well, we did have this effort at Woodlawn on Tuesday with one of the vans that we provided for, and they did a pop-up site. And as Commissioner Reese noted, there were 60 people that got the vaccine. We have the capacity to do more out of one of those units. I think Greg Kesterman was just trying to be cautious and making sure it all went well before we have larger amounts moving out of those sites. And I do want to say that the idea, Commissioner Reese, that you have raised about providing information at these pop-up sites, I think is a great idea. And I'm wondering if we can, and in coordination, advocate or rather amplify the 513 relief site and other things that are being provided through the county at the sites as people are going and getting their vaccines. So I don't know really what that looks like. As you were talking, it occurred to me that was probably a good idea, even for the bricks and mortar sites. So maybe we can work with Greg Kesterman on trying to provide that kind of information at the sites and the BOE site, which is really the most populated of all. So working on maybe a one-pager or signage or something to promote what's happening here at the county. So that's all I've got. I just wanted to, amplify the enthusiasm that we're getting there, and hopefully within a few months, we'll have enough immunity where we can return to a somewhat normal lifestyle here in Hamilton County.
Thank you very much. And I know Greg has plenty of information that he can put on a one piece for those sites. So I just had a few things to bring up. I think I had mentioned at the Tuesday meeting that I participated in the Justice and Public Safety Committee through CCAO. Their first agenda and only agenda item was about prisons and how to build more prisons and how much money we're getting for prisons. And so that was the only thing on that agenda. So I can't wait until the next one to hopefully see that they're going to talk about other issues. And it was brought up about police body cameras. And I had mentioned that was brought up, but I also indicated there are a lot of jurisdictions that do not want the cameras. And I submitted to them the option of those who presently do not want cameras, if they choose to opt out, if we can use that additional money that they would normally get and put it toward recovering the data and storing the data, which it was indicated that's the highest cost, not the cameras. So I did submit that. Whether or not people will continue to be able to opt out, I'm not sure. I think body cams are extremely important. In addition, the Records Commission met this week. They meet twice a year. The main focus of the Records Commission is to make sure the retention schedules are approved of, see if we need to revise any of those schedules. I looked at our numbers of records requests and they are continuing to increase. For 21, they're a little low, but we're just starting 21. But we had quite a few record requests in 19 and in 20. In addition, I had a meeting with FIFA, who is looking at World Cup 2026. It was just an initial introductory meeting. I think it went really well. They have a lot of requirements. They liked what had already been done. We're number 17 on the list. So just to even be that high on the list, I think is very good. It shows that the work that people have done. So there's much more to include, to add on. Jeff was also in that meeting, but I think that it went very well. I talked about the Hamilton County Public, their annual district council meeting, and Greg and his team have done such great work in the midst of a pandemic. The pandemic is not the only thing that they focus on, and it was just indicative of the hard work of him and his team. I had a meeting with Daryl Haley, the CEO of Metro. And as we look at issue 7 that was passed, I told him, I said, honestly, I was saying, what have we done since we passed the levy? And I know they have been working on a lot of things, but after I talked to Daryl, it was so motivating and inspiring how they met the needs, how they're meeting the needs of the people that are actually directly impacted by transportation. A lot of the questions that came up from the public, they are answering. They have already answered. His PowerPoint was just great. And I have invited him, and you guys will know ahead, to come to our meeting to show what they have done. Because I told him I was truly wondering, what are you guys doing? And they have done so much. And I think the people of Hamilton County will be really excited about the moves that they're making. My main question was sustainability. How long can we allow to be able to provide 24-hour transportation? And that's what they're going to now. We've never had 24-hour transportation, bus transportation. And that's one of the things that they will be putting in place. You'll hear more about it when he comes before us. I had a meeting this morning. I saw Commissioner Reese was on the meeting also for OKI. There's lots of monies that are being distributed to Ohio for infrastructure, roadways, bridges, and sidewalks. So they continue to do a good job. They had an audit. The auditor was there. They did very well. There were just a couple minor questions that were asked, but they did not get cited for anything. So we can be very happy about the outcome of that. And that will end my comments for now. And I'm going to move on to Jeff Aludo, our county administrator.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple of things real quick, just to capitalize on what Commissioner Reese said a little bit earlier. We are tracking the status of the federal stimulus package, and as that passes and we get the final numbers on what Hamilton County will be receiving as a direct allocation community, we will be, as we have in the past, putting together a plan for the board and a recommendation on how to allocate those dollars. It's the good thing we know already about this particular package is that we will have, unlike what we had with the CARES Act, we will be able to expend these dollars through 12/31 of 24. So the great thing about that is it gives us a little bit more time to be strategic in terms of how we go about allocating the resources, whereas with the CARES Act, we know that we were in a mode of trying to plan and execute almost simultaneously. So this will give us a little bit of time to make sure that we can plan, be strategic, and at the same time, we need to be quick because we know there's a tremendous amount of need out there in the community. So we'll keep the board updated on that. I also wanted to give the board just an administrative update on an item that I've been asked about that is close to coming back to the board. The board and the budget process had indicated a desire to have the administration study some options for parental leave programs. HR has done some really good work on this. I expect to get a final report from HR Director Frank Spataro on this within the next couple of days, and look forward to scheduling something at a staff meeting with the board here upcoming to provide some recommendations. The only other item I have today, commissioners, is a buy leave item that I am actually going to defer on.
Can I interrupt and ask a question, Madam
Sure.
President? So Jeff, when you come forward with the recommendation related to the federal dollars, would you line up what the federal government is explicitly doing related to rent relief, small business relief, so and the state also, so that we at the commission level can understand what's happening elsewhere, which did not happen last time, right? We were kind of doing all of it. And so help us understand the needs that continue to exist, whether or not we have to add to, say, what the federal government's doing related to rent relief, or if you feel as a recommendation that what's being provided is sufficient so that we can redirect our dollars to something different, say food assistance or something like that. So I think from my own perspective, I know that they're doing this a little bit differently, and I don't have a good handle. I don't know that it's even clear yet what other levels of government are doing. So can you kind of list those out or chart them out somehow so we can clearly see that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we will absolutely endeavor to do that. As you referenced in your comments, there may be some difficulty in doing it because, as say, the state of Ohio receives money, they've got some policy choices of their own in terms of how they're going to choose to allocate this in accordance with the allowable uses. But the board just had a discussion just this past Tuesday with Government Strategies Group. We have already engaged them on that specific purpose to help us be a conduit into the state, both at the General Assembly and executive branch levels, to determine what their thinking is in terms of how they're going to put this money on the street, so we can be, again, as complementary as possible and not just duplicating efforts. So yes, it's a great question, and we will endeavor to do that as quickly as we possibly can in getting you a recommendation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And I'd like to interject also as it relates to our rental assistance. The eviction moratorium is ending March the 31st. And I'm just really concerned about those people that are on that list in court to be put out of their places. Some have already been put out. So I am investigating the possibility of just looking at that list and seeing what we can do with that list as it relates to allocating funding to maybe stop some of that eviction that may occur before the 31st. So we're in the process of looking into it. I asked Jeff if he could also contact someone, but I will certainly be talking to the commissioners as it relates to that, because the 31st is right around the corner. So, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And as I was saying, Madam President, I'm going to actually defer on the by leave item that we have to Todd Long, a Deputy County Engineer, who is on with us today to talk about a matter related to the Stormwater District. So Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator and Commissioners. Appreciate your time. So I'm the Program Director for the Hamilton County Stormwater District and the Chief Deputy Engineer, so I kind of have a dual role. So you'll see me from time to time on either item. So today I'm representing the Hamilton County Stormwater District, and I do have a by leave item for the request for a resolution that will actually, it's an amendment to the renewal contract we have with CDM Smith Engineers, CDM Smith, for the allowance to increase their contract amount to allow us to properly administer work to be done with the Village of Woodlawn. Village of Woodlawn had left the district a number of years ago and has decided to return to the district. And we're excited to have them back as a partner, as a co-permittee in our stormwater district. This contract in the amount of $26,000 will allow us to do some of the administrative functions that are necessary to keep them in the compliance for the roles and the responsibilities that they are asking for the district to provide for them. It also allows us to be able to create the billing file by which we use to collect those stormwater service fees as part of this. So if there are any questions on this item, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions or comments, Vice President Reese?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Todd, very much.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt by leave one.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes.
Commissioner Reese,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to our regular agenda items. Item one.
Thank you, Madam President. Actually, items 1, 2, and 3 are all very much related. They relate to core capital work at our two stadiums, Paul Brown Stadium and Great American Ballpark, and some infrastructure work that has to be done there to keep the stadiums updated and primarily the infrastructure sound, the bones of the building, as we like to call them, sound. So Joe Feldkamp is actually on the call as well. And so that making best use of Joe's time, I'd rather just defer to Joe. And
Sure.
Joe, if you wouldn't mind walking through each of the items 1, 2, and 3 and providing some details specifically what these capital improvements are meant to accomplish at each stadium.
Sure. Thank you, Jeff, and good afternoon, commissioners.
Afternoon.
The first item on the agenda is more for stair landings and steel deck repair. It's at Paul Brown Stadium. So we separated this out of the package that you'll see in number 3 because it's more specific type work and we got better pricing that way. So that's what represents the $220,000 expenditure. I hesitate to use the word routine only because it's a 6-figure number. But, when you're managing an asset this size, these kinds of improvements and repair and maintenance items are somewhat routine. The second item is over at Great American Ballpark. This is actually year 2 of 3 or maybe 4 years of our painting program. It's the first time that the ballpark has been painted. All the white steel that you see all over the place. We started this last year and got a pretty good head start on it. And then this is the second year. It's maintaining the asset, like I said earlier, the steel structure. And the worst thing that you can see is, as a patron coming to the facility, is rust. And when you see rust, you start to think of Riverfront Stadium. And we certainly don't want to go down that path again. So we're maintaining the facility as best we can with spreading the costs out over a 2 or 3 year period. And the third item is back at Paul Brown Stadium. It's our annual, what we call concrete and waterproofing program. And that we got very aggressive bids this year when we went out to bid for all of these. And I've got another one on next week's agenda. But the dollar figures seem high, but that's very aggressive pricing from these contractors from what we've seen from year to year. But item 3 is more sealants and joint work, and it protects finished spaces throughout the building, that kind of thing. Again, maintaining the asset. Any specific questions?
Thank you, Joe. I'll open it up for any of our commissioners that may have a comment or question about 1, 2, or 3. Vice President Reese.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So my understanding, I just want to make sure I'm on the right page on this. These are structural repairs, if you will. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, very accurate. It's not very pretty. This is all kind of nuts and bolts type of work. It's concrete work. It's removing rust, painting the steel, or in this case, the underside of landings, if you will. When you go down the stairs, you're on the concrete landing that's on top of a steel pan, if you will. And the pan, when you get underneath it, you start to see rust. So that's what we're trying to accomplish in item number 1, and really with all the other ones.
Thank you. And I also saw with the contracts, you did do 3 bids. I know we don't have a mandate, but certainly I think a willingness to make sure that we become more inclusive in the county. Were any minority companies or African-American companies, women-owned companies participate in this, or was any outreach done? I don't know, through Robert Bill or anybody?
Sure. Yeah, we're familiar. We work with Robert on all of these. He's aware of all these, we call invitation to bids. So he knows when they hit the street, and he uses his resources to notify the folks. And then also through purchasing, we utilize the resource that they have available for contractors and vendors to utilize it for these types of repairs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yeah, just one quick follow-up question. So Joe, when you say aggressive bidding, you mean the bids came in high, is that right?
No, the bids came in low.
They came in low.
Very low, yes.
Huh.
The amount of work that we're asking, we bid it out in February, Commissioner Dreehouse, and it's about a 3-week, 4-week schedule advance from previous years, because we wanted to get a jump on the year. And we found that all of the contractors were very aggressive And these prices, again, although they look high to you all, maybe when you look at the bid tab, these are the lowest of those bids.
Yeah, I'm just surprised by that because I thought that things were coming in high right now, but I'm
Mhm.
glad of it.
Yep.
That's great. It's great news.
Yep.
Thank you.
So hopefully the agreement indicates that there cannot be any amendments to the agreement as they look at the job. So,
No change orders.
right. Joe
Well,
didn't answer.
Well, we built that into we have alternates, and alternates are flat, like, $10,000, $50,000. So when
Okay.
we're out there making the repairs that we're aware of, that could be 3 months from now by the time they get out there in June. Other
Mhm.
things could happen, and we use unit pricing and alternate pricing to address those issues. So you should see no change orders.
Okay, thank you. So with no further questions or comments, I'd like to make a motion to adopt item 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes.
Commissioner Reese,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you all.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to item 4, our engineer. Eric. Here he is.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Item number 4 is a engineering agreement with Sycamore Township to prepare right-of-way plans for the Kugler Mill improvement. The board has a previously approved engineering contract. Once we get the engineering done, we typically move to the right-of-way. This is so we can move to right-of-way plans. The cost will be split between Hamilton County and Sycamore Township. County's portion will be 20% of the cost and not to exceed $36,593.
Okay, you want to move to 5?
Sure. 5 is resolution previously before the board. We've had the hearings for the subdivision replacement, or excuse me, sidewalk replacement contract. This is bringing you the plan specs and estimates so that we can go to bid, go out to public bid to have this work performed.
Thank you, Eric. I left you hanging, Eric and I.
You did.
That we'll do one and vote for one, and then, so anyway, I apologize. So
That's all right.
are there any questions or comments as it relates to item 4 or 5?
No questions.
No
Okay.
comments.
Okay, hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to adopt items 4 and 5.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes,
Commissioner Reese,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Madam,
Okay. Yes,
Eric's leaving. Is he coming back on for the other items? His items? Purchasing.
Eric, if you can just stay on for the consent items.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So we'll move to our consent agenda items, and what I'd like to do before we actually vote on those is to give a summary for those that are watching. Our consent agenda items include the rejection of a bid for the Sheriff's Office for prisoner transportation services, the purchase of 3 2021 Freightliner truck as replacements for older vehicles, the purchase of 2 2021 trucks for replacement for county facilities. There is also an agreement for landscaping and Rumpke on behalf of the Department of Environmental Services for solid waste. Along with in the consent agenda items, a resolution to appoint John Brugan, officio member to the Board of Cincinnati Animal Care Humane Society. And then the others that are included are contracts through JFS for foster care and group home services. So now I will open it up for our commissioners for any specific questions or concerns on items. Vice President Reese.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to ask on item number 7 and 8. I know it fell under the commission administration. So are those vehicles, are they ours or do they go to the engineer? I guess that's what I'm trying to understand.
I can answer the one for the dump trucks. Those are purchased they're registered in the name of the county, but the county engineer's office purchases those. We're currently on we have 74 snow and ice trucks. We're on a rotation where we replace 3 per year to maintain the fleet. And that's what these 3 are for. And they come out of our funds, the engineer's office funds.
Gotcha, thank you. And then the other item number 8, is that, Jeff, is that what?
Yes, and I'm sorry, I froze up for just a second, Commissioner. So you were asking, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was asking on 7 and 8, but 7's been answered, but 8, the purchase of F-250 trucks, is that, says county facilities. I thought it was Eric, but it's not. I guess
Yeah,
that's
no,
not
that would
what
be,
Eric is.
that'd be the County Facilities Department under the Board of County Commissioners. So they would be titled to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, and when they say replacing older, what is considered old for us?
Well, we actually have a framework that we run those through. So it's gonna, I don't know for these two specifically, but many times it's gonna either depend upon, or sometimes it could depend upon the years, sometimes it could depend upon the mileage. It just depends upon the type of vehicles. I would have to check into it for these specifically, Commissioner. Sometimes, we have some vehicles that might be out in our public works shop where they don't have a lot of years on them, but they've been idling, at fire hydrants for a very long time, and so they put on age that way. So I think in this particular case, and I was just looking, got a communication that these are 2004 and 2000 vehicles, so 21 and 17 years old.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't have
Yeah.
a problem with this. I just wanted to get some more information and understand that we do buy vehicles as a county commission. I wanted to make sure I understood that. And then my last question, I did ask you about this, but I think it'd be good to have it out in the open. We do 3 bids, but also again, on this, I know it's not mandated, but certainly, any way we can to make sure that, there's inclusion in those bids. Maybe you could talk about that as well. Because when people hear, someone got a bid or contract, I think it's important that, you note if there was effort to get it out to, some minority folks that can maybe bid on this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Robert Bell, our director of the Office of Economic Inclusion and Equity, works hand in hand with the purchasing department and does that outreach on behalf of different departments and helps them to reach out. And he actually maintains an entire list where he will help departments reach out and make sure that there is diversity of respondents for various types of bids. So whether it's construction, professional services, items like this, where it's just a direct purchase of type of equipment, Robert helps us make sure that we get that type of diversity into our procurement process. So yes, there's a very intentional approach to that.
Thank you. I just wanted the public that's watching to hear that as well. Thank you.
If I could, I will say that we go through county purchasing as well for our vehicles. So it's done by the same process for the trucks that we're purchasing.
Thank you.
Thank you. And normally with facilities, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I know in Lincoln Heights, we had a list of equipment, and then there's a certain time that these are supposed to be pulled off the road or improved, or newer ones are supposed to be added. So there really is a list somewhere, I'm sure, that the county has it, of vehicles and when the pullout date or when we should stop using those things. And in addition, as it relates to bidding and a minority contract, and I can remember bringing up the fact as we look at minority contracts, that some of the projects are bigger than maybe that small company can handle, but to hopefully take out part of that project or that contract and allow them to do, if they can't build a certain or don't have the staff to build a certain building, that they could participate in the electrical part or the painting part. So to try to cut those projects up a little bit. So that is all, been asked to to the administration to look at that too, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And Madam President, just to emphasize your first point or to offer a little nuance to it. Yes, you're absolutely correct that we do typically for all of our equipment, we have replacement cycles for those. In the past multiple years, we were many times in a position where we just blew well past those replacement timelines just because there was no funds to replace equipment or vehicles, et cetera. So we did purchase vehicles when absolutely necessary, but it would be good and it would be more efficient and cost effective if we are ultimately purchasing them again when the replacement life cycle comes up, just so we're not operating a vehicle with extremely high repair and maintenance costs as well. So,
Thank you. Anything in addition, Commissioner Reese?
No.
Okay, all righty. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yeah, just have a couple of things. So the one is related to JFS. It's the very large contract that we have. It's $4,500,000 with National Youth Advocate Program. And I just wanted to verify, I assume that this is for multi-system youth that are very difficult to place. But that is comparatively a very high dollar amount. So I just wanted to get a little information from JFS.
I see Laura is on the line. Maybe she can help with that.
And if Laura's not available, I'm
Okay.
on.
Hi, Tim. I didn't see you up there. Yeah, certainly.
Oh,
I'm
no,
on.
Laura, you go ahead. She's much better to answer the question than me.
Yeah, you are right. That is a very large contract, and we do have a lot of youth being served through the National Youth Advocate Program, otherwise known as NYAD. I'm looking right now at the synopsis that I sent over for that. Let's see here. And we are currently serving, and this is for our foster care, 152 youth through that contract. So yes, there's a variety of levels of care, some of which are intense and for exceptional needs kids, but we do have a large number of youth placed with that organization, currently at 152. Does that help address your question?
Yeah, that's very, very helpful. Sometimes we get those really large numbers. It's just helpful for us to have a little bit of detail. I appreciate that. And then two other things. The one is number 9 talks about the yard waste, environmental services contract for yard trimmings and drop-off sites. I just am hoping, I guess this is for Jeff, when we open this up, please let us know so that we can amplify that and let folks know that that's available via the county, because I think people would be really interested. And I know we've done it in the past, but I think maybe we could push this one out.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a program that's been in place. It's been in place since I was back at the Solid Waste Management District, and I got there in 1999, and it was in place well before then. And this is the county has, or the Solid Waste District specifically has annually contracted for multiple yard waste drop-off sites around the county, especially we typically kick it off at this time of year in the spring. So when homeowners have large amounts of yard waste, we all know, as much as we try to do backyard composting and you try to use the brown paper bags that Rumpke or your community offers, sometimes you just have too much yard waste and leaves, and you need a place to go to dispose of these in an environmentally friendly way, as opposed to dumping it in the creek behind your backyard or shoving it into your trash bins. You want to make sure this does get composted. So we offer these 3 drop-off sites throughout the county where people can go to take care of their yard waste in a very cost-effective way, and in a way that's environmentally friendly as well. So thank you, Commissioner Dreehouse. Yes, when we are getting ready to kick the sites off, we'll make sure that Environmental Services gets that information to the board so that we can amplify that out through all of your channels, as well as the broader county channel as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Great.
Lastly, item number 11, John Brugan is being appointed to this board, and I just want to congratulate John because he's done a lot of work here on this issue. And so I'm glad that he will be now sitting at the table with the Cincinnati Animal Care Humane Society. So
Commissioner, John called me before the meeting and said that he was not going to be able to be on the line, but he did give me an acceptance speech to read on his
Sure.
behalf.
Very good. Of course.
So, no, I know John will do a great job, and I think it's a great thing to have an ex officio member on the board so that so that this board can remain in touch with the Animal Care Society as they kick off their role on behalf of the county as county dog warden and all the ancillary functions they do to promote humane treatment of animals, foster care for animals, et cetera.
Yep, it's great. Thank you.
Great, and we were all leaning back to hear his, because we know his sense of humor, so.
Maybe next time, Madam President.
Yes, yes. And Vice President Reese, are you the representative for the solid waste environmental, aren't you? Oh, you are. Okay, I don't know why I thought it was her. Okay, very good. Okay, all righty. With no further questions or comments, I'd like to make a motion to adopt items 6 through 11 and items 14 through 20, and to receive for the record items 12 and 13.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes,
Commissioner Reese,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
thank you. Okay, we have an executive session. And I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to RC Section 121.22 G2 to consider property acquisition.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes,